mentoring program. And I am going to let him tell you his story of how he decided to become a teacher and segue from a very illustrious career in the entertainment industry and make those connections for you. But I just wanted to take a few minutes in reading his recommendations. They are so outstanding. From his principal, I just want to tell you that his present principal wrote for this award, he is a Renaissance educator, encouraging our young, bright minds of the future to engage in hard work and effort, which becomes evidence of true excellence. This charismatic, dedicated, and humble educator is so deserving of this award for his never-ending efforts in reaching all learners. He captures the minds of our learners and captivates them with issues of the day that resonate with young adolescents and are typically hard to reach. He finds them, he shapes them, he builds them up. He endears their confidence and makes them believe that they are superstars and they evolve to be just that. And in addition to a wonderful recommendation from Dr. Patricia Pernin, who's the director of the program at LAUSD, we also have some little anecdotes from a student, an 11th grade student. Listen to this. Makes learning fun, he's funny. Mr. Crowley cares about us, and you can see that he feels and cares. He's the guy you can talk to about stuff. For a lot of us boys without dads, he's the guy that will show you how to tie a tie. Did we hear that before? Yes. This ties in so beautifully with our other speakers. Or how to ask a girl out on a date. And how we should respect women. Thank you. And work hard and take care of our responsibilities. He roots for us to succeed, helps us get jobs, prepared me for my first job interview. When I told him I wanted to join the Navy and become a Navy SEAL, he told me not to just go to a recruiting station. He instead called a Navy lieutenant who flew helicopters for the SEALs, had him drive up to meet me and a few other boys and girls. This person was a former student and said he would do anything for Mr. Crowley. It changed everything for me. He also started a Gay-Straight Alliance Club many years ago when gay kids at school asked him to make sure our campus is as bully-free as possible. We lost our music program due to budget cuts. Some students wanted to form a Glee Club. Now he's made sure that Glee Club is a class. And he makes us all smarter and, more importantly, better and kinder people. May I present David Crowley.
Wow, thank you. That's why I love my job. They make going to work every day so much fun. I'd like to thank everybody at NAAC, Judy, and Michelle, and just everybody who was kind enough to put me in this position. I'd also like to thank LAUSD and Dr. Pernin and Felicia and everybody at the LAUSD District Intern Program for the nomination and making it possible for me and thousands of other people to start a second career as a teacher. And to my fellow recipients awarded here today, I'm honored and humbled to stand alongside you. Being named an outstanding educator by my peers is as wonderful as hearing my students say, "Mr. Crowley rocks." It is music to my ears, and music is where my career started. Prior to having high school students as my clients were some of the most famous and infamous names in show business, including Michael Jackson, Guns N' Roses, Nirvana, Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Corey Feldman, Goonies Never Die, Kato Kaelin, and the Psychedelic Furs, just to name a few. As a publicist at major record labels and PR firms, and as an artist manager, I spent nearly 20 years standing backstage, watching some of the best rock stars in the world inspire and influence generations of teenagers. During those years, I'd often think to myself how cool it would be to be a rock star and be able to have that kind of impact on people. But my singing voice wasn't just okay. And my guitar playing was mediocre at best, and songwriting didn't come naturally. So much for being a rock star. Well, after years of dealing with rock star egos and cleaning up after celebrity misdeeds and recklessness, I needed to change. I needed to make a difference. I needed to have an impact, and I realized that if I became a teacher, I could be a rock star. Think about it. John Lennon taught us to imagine and give peace a chance. Bob Dylan taught us that the answer, my friend, was blowing in the wind. The Beatles whispered words of wisdom. Sam Cooke taught us that a change was going to come. Public Enemy inspired us to fight the power. And we all enrolled with the Ramones at Rock and Roll High School. Their influence was profound. But what was more profound was the impact my teachers had on me. Mrs. Blake taught me how to write in the 10th grade. Brother Aquinas made me think on a deeper level. Mr. Deneen made me love learning new things and showed me how cool being a teacher could be. And Mrs. Seeley made me fall in love with the arts. Along with my parents, it turned out that teachers were really the biggest influences in my life. They were truly my rock stars. Steinbeck said teaching might even be the greatest of arts, since the medium is the human mind and spirit. He was right. Teaching is an art, much like music. Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, U2, Bob Marley, they all make us feel. They all make us wonder. They all make us think. And that's what teachers do. So the closest thing you can come to being a rock star is being a teacher. Like a rock star, good teachers can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and leave us wanting more. As teachers, we have a fan base of thousands of people who will remember us for the rest of our lives. And we can never tell where our influence stops. The magic of music is its ability to make a connection with its audience. And so it is with teaching. The magic of teaching lies in making a connection with your students. Once that connection is made, the students can then connect with the learning. And in both cases, we discover things about ourselves and the world around us that we never considered or even thought were possible. At the start of the year, my students have to write an I'm from poem about themselves. Most of my special day English class students are far from confident writers, and the idea of writing actually terrifies them, and many don't have much experience with it. I sit with each student individually and make them dig deep and tell me who they are, where they're from, how to use imagery to tell their stories. One young lady had just moved to San Pedro from right here in the rough streets of Chicago, or Chirac, as she called it. She wrote her story, and it was powerful, but it needed more. I'd say, go back and do it again. It would get better, and I'd tell her to dig deeper. Find your own voice. Do it again. I want to hear your voice sing out. I want to be able to see, hear, and feel where you're from. Here's a taste of what she wrote. I'm from bullets flying and friends dying. I'm from seeing bodies in the streets and watching them covered in sheets. I'm from mamas crying and young black men dying. Another student, Patricio, has some anger issues and had been moved from school to school. Patricio hated writing, but just needed someone to really hear him and help him find his voice. after several painful conversations, Patricio wrote, "I'm from being suspended over and over at school after school, but the only thing they couldn't suspend was my rage." These are special ed kids. Patricio wrote 4 essays for me in the last 2 weeks. I couldn't be more proud of him. Paulino, who has to help his 75-year-old father's small local bakery, he has to work in the bakery with his 75-year-old father to help support his family. And he's a kid I still struggle with getting him to write anything. He wrote, "I'm from the scent of fresh bread after school as I watch my father's old flour-covered hands kneading and baking so he can bring home the dough to support me. I'm from a broken home and chose to live with my dad so he wouldn't grow old and alone. I'm from worrying about my father dying and fear I'll never stop crying. I'm from wanting to fly and wear pilot's wings, but fear I may just wind up baking things." Their voices are hanging on my classroom wall as reminders of what they can do when they dig deep. And finally, there's gentle and kind-hearted Kevin, who you heard some words earlier from, who always gives my aide, Ms. Lopez, a big hug in the morning and then comes over to hug me too. One day he said, "Mr. Crowley, do you know why I give you and Ms. Lopez a hug every day?" I replied, "No, Kevin, why do you give us a hug every day?" He said, "Because I don't get hugs at home." Needless to say, I gave him a great big hug and did everything I could not to cry. Mrs. Lopez wasn't so successful. She was a mess. She was just crying. I finally know what it feels like to have a profound impact, to be an ambassador of possibility, to have an audience that I can influence forever, to feel like a rock star. So I'd like to thank all the great teachers in my life and all the great teachers whom I work with every day and who are frankly just as deserving of this award. You have and continue to rock my world and the world of the students you teach. If the world were truly a rational place, we would treat teachers like the rock stars they truly are. So what I say to anyone out there who wants to have an impact on young people, but might not be able to sing or might not be able to play guitar, you can, with amazing help of alternative certification programs around the country, be a rock star, because you can be a teacher. Thank you.